Craig Counsell had a questionable season. We talk about it.
It's a bad thing.
You are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, alongside Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. Sam and I are lifelong fans, taking our passion into discussion with you on all things Cubs. Thank you for being part of the show and making us your first listen today. The best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day, like the video, and comment anything below. Today's episode is presented by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. On November 6th last year, the Cubs shocked the sports world by firing David Ross and hiring Craig Counsell. The Cubs pulled Counsell away from their rival team in the Brewers and did so by signing him to a 5-year, $40 million deal, seemingly selling Counsell on the health of their organization in both a good core of major league players and one of the top farm systems in the game. Well, in Counsell's first year at the helm, the Cubs finished 83-79, the same exact record they had the season before with Ross. Later in the episode, we're going to look ahead to 25 and beyond, what we might want to see from Counsell. We're also going to play 0 to 100. Sam, we learned a lot this year, especially the value of a manager, and that's where we're going to start first. What is your initial reflection on what you learned, and then Counsell, just in general, Counsell's first year with the Cubs?
My initial reflection is the same reflection that I've had probably, I would say, since right around mid-June, which was I grossly overstated the impact of what a manager could have. He had none, basically, on the record. I mean, that's just a fact. They had the same record. You know, you could say, well, they had different performances and things like this, but I think he managed a better season than David Ross, but the record was still the same. It wasn't the type of impact. And, you know, the next time we take a gander over at past videos to prove whether we were wrong or right.
Oh, shoot. I meant to do that.
Well, you want to know what I wanted to do, though?
There's too much happening right now.
But I'd like to do one where I sound like I'm right for once.
Okay.
And I'd like you to go back to Memorial Day weekend.
My idea was to go back to the episode when he got hired. But what's your suggestion?
Well, yeah, that wouldn't have gone well. Memorial Day weekend, we got beat by the Cardinals, and I talked about how it felt like this team lacked urgency.
Yeah.
And it really bothered me.
I remember that.
And it bled into June. And I just feel like with Counsell, you know, the X's and O's, I thought overall were good. I thought he didn't do a good enough job with Happ, and the batting order was wonky at times. But overall, I thought the decisions weren't eyebrow-raising a lot, but it was the lack of urgency. It just didn't – everything felt like it was too far planned. We'll figure it out. We'll just give this game up. Okay, great. You know, this guy's here, and, you know, let's wait till we'll get hot in a month. And that was the kind of attitude the team had.
Can't do that.
With the famous Dansby, you know, it's only June quote, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's what I felt that. I felt that in May, and it bled into June, and that was ultimately their season. You know, I think Craig Counsell is a good manager. Do I think he's worth $8 million a year? No. Did I learn a lot about the managing profession and how it impacts baseball games? Yes, that's probably the biggest takeaway here. But I think Counsell, and I think he will, could have a little bit more urgency with the way he manages, and a little bit more. And look, it's not a part of the wins and losses, but the media stuff was tough.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, and it's nothing to do with the wins and losses, but man, it's a tough interview to listen to.
Yeah,
it is.
I wonder if he could be more forthcoming next year.
Yeah, it's tough. So, you know, with all that being said, I loved it when the Cubs made the move. I so respected it. It was a great chance to take. Through year one, it didn't work out, but maybe we see the benefits of a Craig Counsell with a better roster going forward. And, my final grade for the skipper would be a C-.
Minus. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was going to give him a C- as well. So.
Yeah.
By the way, this isn't one of those shows where we trade notes beforehand. We don't do anything orchestrated.
Well, I haven't even talked to you the whole day today.
Yeah, we hadn't talked all day. So you get genuine conversation here on the show. And I believe this is our 2000 show together. So it's a big one, a milestone.
Is it really?
No.
Oh.
I made that up. So.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
So.
That would have been weird math.
Yeah, no, I made that up. I should look that up, though. I think we're probably near a crazy number.
Yeah, leave a comment and subscribe. I know it's kind of tough times.
So I think a manager is worth about a series. So 2 to 4 games.
Yeah.
I wasn't, I wouldn't put like a 5 to 7 game number on a manager.
Well, that's what I did.
But he wasn't worth the 2 to 4 games. So I still believe that he can be worth that. And the standings do tell the story. They really do. And you know who agreed with that towards the end of the year?
Craig Counsell.
Craig Counsell. In the last week is when he really started to depart from his shell or his listening phase or his observational phase, whatever he was doing. We started to hear more from him those final 5 to 7 days. And I think those were actually quite revealing. And I want to review a little bit about what he said in that last week on today's episode. But I can respect him for being in this listening phase the first year.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the Cubs had that kind of time or if he had, to get someone to sign off on that, or if that was a personal decision that he made. And I have to believe, even if he wasn't a listening phase for the most part, which, included the dugout, apparently, how much debate is he having with Jed Hoyer? How much pushback has Counsell created towards Hoyer, really towards the entire front office? And now, if he was truly in a listening phase, what does he think of how the Cubs operate? Because in that last week, he had the now I would say is a somewhat not overly used, but somewhat famous quote, or maybe infamous, depending on how you look at it. We should be trying to build 90-win teams here. And he did that after his former employer clinched with over a week left. And he was very clear about it. Here's the team we're chasing. Here's what they do well. And again, the biggest twist is that's where he was. And if he didn't realize what type of an impact a manager has, he sure does now, because they didn't miss a beat. And he's getting eight M's next to his name. Pat Murphy was getting what, $900,000, $1 million, two at the most.
I don't count Pat Murphy's money.
It's crazy. So I would love to know what Counsell's thinking right now, because clearly he thought he had value, probably more than he thought. Then it gets dispelled. It's a wild time right now for him.
I think you hit the nail on the head with the Brewers thing. That has to go into his grade. If he came here from Detroit or something like that, right, or whatever, it just wouldn't be as big of a deal. He came from our rivals. We thought that was going to flip the scale, and if anything, it went the other way.
Absolutely.
Can I answer one of your rhetorical questions? What is Counsell thinking right now?
Right.
And this is kind of my issue with Counsell. He's not thinking about that. He doesn't care. Like, he's all business all the time. Next day, this. But right. I just think sometimes it's too much. I think there needs to be a little bit more emotion. I think there needs to be a little bit more of a humanistic human element of like, hey, you know what? We're struggling right now. We got to figure out a way to get this done. Let's go, guys. Instead of just, everything's always so simplified for him. Like,
right, the day-to-day nature of it.
I just want yeah, exactly. I just want out-getters, and the best play in baseball is the home run ball, and, that was a bad take, and,
we didn't do enough offensively tonight.
Yeah, it's just everything is so simple, and it's like, I just think there needs to be, and I'm sure there is behind the scenes, but as a fan, I would just like to see, and again, Probably doesn't really result in a ton of wins, but next year I'd like to see a little bit more fire. I'd like to see you
Yeah, let's talk about that.
How about protecting your guys? How about stick it up for your guys? You got a guy that's pretty close to being a star offensive player in Seiya Suzuki, but one of the main things is holding him back is he gets rung up and gets called strikes that aren't strikes. And you sit there and, you do a couple things, throw something. Get thrown out. I personally think that matters.
Yeah, and I don't as much anymore. But I could be on, close to your wavelength.
I'm not saying to get thrown out every game. I'm just saying, hey, once a month, hey, say I got rung up on that pitch, and that's not right. It happens too much to him. We got to fix that publicly. Something.
So you would like him to illustrate more fire and passion. Am I hearing this right?
Yeah, a little bit more fire, a little bit more passion, and just a little less with the simplifications. Like, hey, we just got to get outs, and we got to get traffic. Like take us a little bit deeper into it. Let me finish one thing. If we're gonna sit through this 83 win mediocrity, at least take us on a little bit more of a fun ride. Go ahead.
Do you think that downplays his Does he downplay his own purpose when he makes comments like that?
Yes, that's a really good way of putting it. And I know deep down that behind the scenes he's real active and stuff, but that's like the whole point of why media comes from medium. Like you have that connection to the fans.
Nice.
So we would like you to let us, just take us a little bit farther in than, hey, did we just have outgetters and we didn't get enough outs and we didn't get enough hits. I mean, I could do that.
Is there any specific baseball thing you want to see from him next year?
Well, that's why the grade was still a C, because I agree with most of his moves. I mean, I could tell you off the top of my head, I think there's a couple, like the Merriweather going back to back, innings in Cleveland and certain other things. But look, man, over the course of 162, you're not going to agree with everything your manager does. It's impossible. Okay.
Right.
I really didn't have a ton of issues with the decision making, which is why I still really am confident that this is an upgrade from what we had. If I had to be picky, I would just say urgency with some moves. Like, hey, early in the year, let's not try and worry about developing Canario in a big spot. Let's win the baseball game.
Yeah.
Or, little things like that. But that's real picky. For me, it's more the attitude and the urgency that I'd like to see. But I still do think he is one of the better managers in the game.
Yeah, and I think riding with PCA to an extent to Maya that last 50 games every single day.
Yeah.
And pretty much riding the same lineup that last 40 to 50. Yeah. I like that.
A little less platoons.
Okay.
Like every time there's a lefty, we got to get Wisdom and AB. After like 50 games.
Or pinch hit for someone later.
Like after 50 games, 60 games, man, like I get the swing path. I get it. We don't have to do that. Yeah. It's too much. Here, my criticism, too much wisdom this year.
Well, yeah, there was.
It was too much wisdom.
Right. We're talking about Patrick.
Yeah, we're talking about Patrick, not wisdom in the mind.
Coming up next, I should say, we continue the council conversation next. Today's episode is brought to you by our great partners at Prize Picks with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least two players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Want to play Prize Picks alongside Drewski, Joe Budden, and MMA champ Sean O'Malley? Well, you can. You can find community plays under the promos tab of the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in the Prize Picks community each week. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this football season. Which players are going off? Which ones aren't? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. This is the best place to get real money sports action. Prize Picks, run your game. We continue our Craig Counsell conversation here on Locked On Cubs. We both gave him a C- grades, and looking ahead to 2025 and beyond for Counsell, we talked about some things related to passion, maybe purpose, maybe a specific baseball thing or two. And of course, the big question now looming over the Cubs offseason, Sam, is
defending your players.
Is this team actually going to make clear upgrades, right? Well, I believe that Counsell knows they need to and where they need to, but it's not his job to make those moves. It's Jed Hoyer's job.
Yeah.
I do wonder how much influence Counsell will have the next 3-4 months.
Well, it sounds like from what Jed has said, and if you read between the lines, he has probably as much, if not more, influence than any manager we've had in quite a long time.
Okay.
So I do believe he'll be a part of that. And I think like any other manager, every other person in this organization, he's just going to be judged on the win total at the end of the season. And he'll have a say in his players. I personally, I disagree with you respectfully. I don't understand why he needed a full year to listen and observe and things like that. He's been playing across the way for quite a long time.
Right. You think he observed across the way.
He knew what he was getting into. He knows the ins and outs. He knew how to beat this team on a regular basis. So why did he need an additional year to confirm what he already knew?
The Brewers.
Well, right, but he still was a part of the organization. He's a part of the scouting meetings. He knows when one of his scout guys go, "Hey, this is how we're going to get out Ian Happ." Hey,
right, he wasn't at Potbelly during those meetings,
no.
right?
I hope not. So,
I should have named a company. All right, edit that out. So,
but I think he'll be a part of a lot of these decisions.
Wow. Any one place where you think he'll be more influential? Because I feel like we heard some rumblings about maybe him having some influence on the Hector Neris signing. I believe that was from Jesse Rogers of ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that the bullpen is a place where we could see him exert influence in the free agent or trade market, or maybe it is more lineup and position players?
I don't know if it's one more or the other. I think he's gonna have a say in a lot of the things that they do.
Okay.
A lot of the things that they do. So.
All right. Very good. Do you think that he will move PCA up in the order?
No, not earlier in the year. It depends. It depends though who they have. You know what I mean? Like, what acquisitions do they make? Because PCA, because
they're going to run back the same team.
Well, because PCA towards the end of the year got cold again, so I don't know if they want to put that pressure on him. I'd love to see him hit leadoff with the current crop of guys. I'd love to see like a PCA 1.
Paredes 2. I'm kidding.
No. Like a Sayat 2, and then maybe like a Hap 3 situation. Oh, here
Who's
we go.
Fourth, Swanson or?
All right. No, the more like Shaw or something.
Okay. All right. Coming up next, we're gonna play 0 to 100.
This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, and NBA fans, America's #1 sportsbook. So to get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page when you place your bets. Folks, I got good news and I got bad news regarding the local NBA team. One piece of good, two pieces of bad. The piece of good news is I don't think this team's going to be all that bad. The bad news is number one, I can't watch them because of the new, Bulls, Sox, Blackhawks. Number two, if the Bulls pick falls out of the top 10, the Spurs get that pick. So you kind of want them not to be that good, and maybe they won't be, but with Ball returning, Giddey could play make. I think the over-under's in the high 20s. I'd like that over if they stay healthy. Of course, they're one trade away. It's easy to tank, but won't be able to tell you much more about the Bulls because YouTube TV, I don't get that network. You'll get started with $200.
Well, not many people get the network.
You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com, America's #1 sportsbook.
So what did you mean when you said the Bulls in the high 20s?
That was like their win total, their over-under win total.
It's only in the 20s?
Yeah, I think it was like 28.5, something like that.
The Bulls are projected to win 28.5 games?
Well, I mean, let me confirm now. Let me go on FanDuel.
That's horrible.
Well, let me go on FanDuel.
I didn't know they were going to be that bad. You just really broke some news.
Oh, no, maybe I thought it was 28.5 wins.
Well, it very well could be. I have no idea.
Well, this isn't through FanDuel. This is through Sports Illustrated. That says 28.5. Here, let me get FanDuel up. 28.5 on covers. Let me get FanDuel.
Wow.
Give me a sec.
So they're really going to have a tough year.
Hold on. I'm getting something going here. All right, you can filibuster if you don't.
Shout out to Locked On Bulls. Hayes over there. Holding it down.
It's hard for me to. I need to do it on my phone.
Wow, they're going to be bad this year. That's too bad, you know? So they're not even going to compete for the play-in.
Well, no, they'll compete for the play-in. They always do that.
28 wins is just a dreadful year. There's 82 games, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah, I mean, most of what I'm seeing is in the high 20s here. So.
Wow, that's awful. Is anybody's job in jeopardy over there?
Well, nobody talks there. You never hear from anyone.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Hey, speaking of jobs.
Yeah, oh boy.
0 to 100. So Counsell signed a 5-year deal, right?
Yeah, I'm looking for these.
What are the chances 0 to 100 he stays as manager of the Cubs all the way through that 2028 year?
Oh, low. Oh,
yeah.
A lot of these guys don't do that. I get. I mean, it depends how they are. That's a great question. 45%.
Dang.
Is that too low?
Well, no. That's when you react. How you reacted, I expected a lower number.
Okay.
So, all right. Thank you so much for checking out.
That's it. Let me do one for you. Yeah. Let me do one for you. 0. Let me tell you this: 0 to 100. If the Cubs don't make any major additions, you will go to less games than you did last year.
Yeah, no, I think that's 80%.
Okay.
85%.
Yeah.
If they bring back the same club, I don't really have much incentive to go.
Oh, you already said that you're not going to invest anything in Juan Soto. So.
Yeah.
That was one of your best lines.
Thank you. And thank you for checking out this edition of Locked On Cubs. You give us 20 to 30 minutes. We'll give you all things Cubs with a laugh or two along the way. Be sure to hit subscribe on YouTube, smash the like button for the algorithm, and leave a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, and everywhere you get your podcast. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. He's Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. This is Locked On Cubs.
See ya.